Hi, my name is Lisa Victron. I'm the librarian at Ray K. Daly Elementary School in the Houston Independent School District. I'd like to talk to you about the genrefication project that I did last year at my school and the final product which I introduced the kids to this whole system with called Spring Fever Reads. Last year I decided that I was going to genrefy the fiction section of our library. Currently we have 8 different genres in our library. I only focused on the books that were for students 3rd through 5th grade. We have 7 genres in the fiction section, and then we have the whole nonfiction section. So it's a long process. It took about a year to complete, but it was well worth it. And so when we got to a good point where I could introduce it to the kids, what the method that I used was something called the Spring Fever Reads, and we introduced it right at the time that March Madness was going on. So what happened was the kids got a bracket, and I had it divided into the different sections, and the ultimate goal of this was to figure out what their favorite genre was at the Daly Elementary School Library. With each section, they had to do a reflection, and so they would check out 2 books, 2 different genres. They would read the books, and then they would do a reflection about it. And it was kind of, I threw it in the kids' court to see what they wanted to reflect about. I kind of wanted them to make a valid choice of why they preferred one genre over the other. And then along the way we had some fun things, and we had a big celebration for those students who made it all the way through. The great part of it is between spring break and the end of the school year, they ended up reading 14 different books, and they kind of guided their reading, and they got to select their favorite books. So I have 6 students in front of me right now, and 5 students in front of me right now, and I'm going to ask some questions to them, and you're going to hear their reflections on the process. So, 5 fabulous students. What I'd like you to do is think first about what you thought about the Spring Fever Reads project. This is where you get to talk. So, who's ready? Okay, yes ma'am.
My thought about Spring Fever Reads is that it's a great thought because you can learn about other books that you haven't read yet, and then if they really interest you, you can choose them, that's what I really like about it.
Okay, any other thoughts about what you liked about it? Yes.
I like Spring Fever Reads because you can find out that you like the genre that you didn't even know about.
Okay, how was the I'm gonna let you share that. What's your thought?
I thought Spring Fever Reads was great because it encouraged other kids to read more books and led them deeper into learning about different things from books, and now we have genres, and now people will be like, if they didn't know what genres were, oh, what are these? They went up to Miss Victorine and said, they're genres. We separated them into different sections.
Okay. Do you remember how the library, and we talked about this before, how was the library organized before? It was just done how? Do you remember?
It was
an Easter egg hunt.
It was an Easter egg hunt because it was the Dewey Decimal System, and it was where all by the author's last name, and we started with A and we went to Z. And if you asked me where the fantasy books were, I would just say, go look, right? Now, if I asked you to point where the fantasy books were right now, could you do that?
Yes.
Yes, because we know where it is. So tell me about what would happen along the way. So let's say that you read 4 books, okay? Were there prizes? What were some of the different reasons that made you keep reading? Because there were some people that dropped out, right? Because everybody wanted to do it at first, but then it was a big process. So what made you keep going?
I wanted to keep going because 2 reasons. 1, I like to get the prizes that you give. 2, I love to read books, and there's really interesting books in the library that I like to read.
So what do you want to share?
The reason why it kept me going is because I wanted to read at least 1 book from all the different sections, and as Sarah said, I want to get all the prizes.
Okay, so what were some of the prizes you got? Yes.
Eating Chick-fil-A.
Okay, well, that was the big prize at the
Yeah.
end. That was the big prize at the end. What were some of the little prizes?
I think it was mechanical pencils.
Okay, so mechanical pencils. What else?
Eraser caps. I
Eraser
think.
caps.
We got a snack.
You got a snack, and then we also got
Bookmarks.
bookmarks. And so how I decided what the prizes were is I asked the kids what they wanted. And so it was actually a big 4th grade thing at the time, and I said, kids, what do you want? And they said school supplies and bookmarks and then food. So at the very end, if you got through all the brackets, then you were invited to a breakfast.
From Chick-fil-A.
We had Chick-fil-A, and we were going to walk to Chick-fil-A, remember?
Yeah.
And then we had that big flood that weekend, and we missed a day of school, and so we had to bring Chick-fil-A to us.
Wanted to walk.
And so we did want to walk, but so we had brought Chick-fil-A to us. Could you tell me right now what you think your favorite genre is? Yes.
Mystery.
Mystery. What's yours?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction. Yes.
Definitely nonfiction.
Definitely
Forever.
nonfiction.
Fantasy.
Fantasy. And yours?
Realistic fiction.
Realistic fiction. Do you remember that time when you had to get science fiction books and there were none left?
Oh, yeah.
Because every single science fiction book that we had was checked out because of the spring fever
And
reads.
also that's the same what happened to the comic books.
The graphic novels. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not really interested in science fiction. I mean, I'm really interested in science, but like science fiction
is
it's
about,
it's kind of like boring books.
Okay, what about you?
Science fiction is actually like time travel,
Yeah.
things that would happen in the future,
Yeah.
Okay.
and not
Like
this
a wrinkle
time.
in time.
Do you, there was one other thing I was going to say. Would you have even thought about reading historical fiction before we got to the spring fever reads? Yes, do you want to share about that?
Yes. No, not really. Because once I got the Spring Fever Reads book, I started reading books and I got interested in other genres
Okay.
other than
Yes, other than historical fiction? Yeah.
I would occasionally sometimes
Mm-hmm.
get the books.
Okay, yes.
No, not really, because that was the first time I ever picked up a historical fiction book. So when I read it, I was like, I don't expect anything
Okay.
exciting about this. And then I was like, what? She said a bad word?
Oh my gosh, not in our library were there books with bad words. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I liked historical fiction books because they tell, well, they're not technically like history, but they have some stuff about history, which I like. Though I like the stories too.
Okay, I'm going to let you reflect and then I have one last question for you. Yes.
I don't really like the historical fiction. It's only because like I don't know how to say this, but like it's too much in history and
That's not your thing.
it's my thing, but I want it in real life, like the back section over there with the nonfiction,
So
where
the actual
there's like
history.
the wars and civilizations. That's real history, and I like that better than fake.
So one of the things I want to do different this year, because we're going to do Spring Fever Reads again this year, and that was something we decided at that big breakfast. Remember we had the chart paper and we said, what are some things that you would like us to do again next year, and we planned. Is one thing we didn't do last year is I had just fiction and then only one of the areas was nonfiction. And so remember how there was a group of kids who said, why can't we do a Spring Fever Read with just the nonfiction?
I think they were in our classroom.
And they wanted to figure out what was their favorite nonfiction subject heading. Okay, so
I want to try that this year.
you want to try that this year? So a couple of things. I remember I told you that it helps me to look at my collection and decide what more books I need to buy. The graphic novels were gone.
Yeah.
The scary books were gone.
Most people go for the Goosebumps books.
Yeah, because they're
Like one person who I know, he only wants to get a Goosebumps book, but if he doesn't like find one, he almost goes for like, I'm not gonna get any books. He's that interested.
sometimes the first section I go for is the scary section to get the
Okay.
goosebumps. And if there isn't goosebumps there, I ask you in the book cart.
So looking at how we have our library arranged right now, we know where we need to buy our books, don't we? Okay. So as a whole, give me your final thoughts of, was it a good idea to put all that work into putting genres in our library?
Yeah.
Good
Yes,
idea.
good
Because
idea.
because then people won't have to take like forever to find their books.
That's
And
right.
they don't have to come over to you and have to, Miss Victor, where are the
Yeah, when you're like
where's the
under
fantasy section?
important
And you're like,
work.
just go.
Well, thank you so much for spending your afternoon and helping me do this video. And the whole genreification process, although it is a lot of work, it's well worth it for the students.
If you want, we can also help with genreifying them.
Yeah.
Okay, very
Since
good.
we help.
All
And we
right.
can also put the books in like groups,
Okay, very good.
A through Z, like that.
That thing. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I hope you take on the genreification project. Thank you.